We'll start there. It's
our relatively short bit.
This will be the first of our short bits.
Woohoo!
Yeah, man.
Both huge sci-fi nerds, and we actually got into a very long discussion about was this couple really like a good couple for the series versus a good couple for like the storyline? I don't know. There were just lots of things to discuss.
There were a lot of things to discuss. So let's not beat around the bush. I have 5 science fiction couples that I think are
the best.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen all of science fiction, so these are the ones that came to mind.
This is true, and I will bring up that
to me
point.
And goes, hey, we need to each come up with 5 couples in science fiction. I go, okay.
Yes. So
yes, I thought of.
These are the ones that I thought of with my understanding of all of the sci-fi shows that I have seen, not an exhaustive list. But I have 4 plus one that I'm excited to see.
I have 5. I have 5. One's kind of cheating. So I guess we did. We
kind of did our homework. We kind of cheated a little bit, both of us. So it's fine if we both did it.
If I gave this in a grade in school, I would probably be called into the office for cheating.
Probably.
You didn't follow directions.
Mine would be like, you get no points for your last answer because it kind of doesn't count. And I'd be like, that's fair.
I get that you were trying to be creative, but please don't do that ever.
Yeah, but please follow the instructions. And I'm like, the American education system. Don't think creatively.
Right.
Just follow the instructions.
Freaking men. All right. So I don't have mine in any particular order, so I'm just going to start listing mine off. But I
how about we go one at a time?
Yeah, you start.
All right. Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want me to start, but I want you to start.
So I would say like my all-time favorite sci-fi couple.
Yeah.
Is from the TV show Firefly. And because I'm a nerd, I brought kind of props. I don't think I have props for all of them. But look at
what'd you bring?
This is my Firefly DVD set. Maybe I didn't prep this clearly. But
you had it ready. I mean, that's enough prep.
I had it, but so in this thing, so my husband John got this for me upon recommendation from one of his friends in grad school, where he was like, my wife really likes sci-fi and she's never really communicated to me like stuff that I should get her to feed her nerdy passions. So his friend was like, well, this was one of my favorite shows. And he got me this, nice. I think maybe a birthday, maybe Valentine's Day, something like that. And I was like, you got me Firefly? And he's like, yeah, do you like that? I'm like, I love Firefly. So nice try. So my favorite couple of Firefly. I mean, can you beat Zoe and Wash?
That is a pretty good first start. Yeah,
I think so. I think they are adorable. They are couples goals. I love that they're so different, but they complement each other so well. They definitely bring out each other's best qualities.
Right.
And also
Allison, my favorite line from that. Have you ever been with a warrior woman?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm like, yeah, Alan Tudyk, I get it.
I also, that whole episode, I love the juxtaposition between his interview and the interview with Zoe.
Because
she's like,
who the hell is this guy? This idiot flying our ship. I almost said plane.
She is so, and she is so stoic and focused and very quick in her answers. And he's just like, let me tell you. It's like
he is Alan Tudyk, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, crazy. That's so funny. Yeah. I also love, I guess I love both of those actors.
That is a very, I'll say that's a very good first start to our list. So,
and I think that also they're just so endearing and you believe them and they kind of ground the whole thing of they're off doing these space adventures, but this is just like every other married couple.
Yeah, and I love that there are, and I don't know specifics because I've watched Firefly several times, but I can't remember the specific episode. But there are several times in the series where Zoe is in clear danger, and what is Wash's priority? I have to make sure that Zoe's okay, and so it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
that's a good change. It's not like
I support this.
Think about the mission and nothing but the mission. But no, it's like.
Yeah, because a lot of things are sacrifice all the people that matter in your life for the greater good, and I'm like, no, I definitely wouldn't be doing that.
I will say every time I think about Alan Tudyk's character Wash, it's always I am a leaf on the wind, I am a leaf on the, and then he dies. I'm like, oh great. Okay.
Big damn movie.
Rip.
Yeah.
Well, I wish they got more seasons so they didn't have to just kill him off in the movie, but.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is for sure, and maybe this was something we should have looked up beforehand, but whatever, we'll just go with it.
Are you going to talk about some
I
rumors, Allison?
think that the reason why they killed him off in the movie and that they also killed Book off in the movie is because both of them got like something with their contracts where they were like they didn't settle or figure out like contract stuff.
Oh.
And so all of the other people, I guess, maybe signed some don't quote me on this, but like they had the prospect of continuing on further, and they were the two people that didn't. There was no like they weren't going to be with them much longer, I guess.
Okay. Well,
contract wise, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I don't
know what I'm talking
quite know.
about. So also, I was just trying right there to work in my fringe jacket, but it didn't work very well because my range was limited to not hitting my mic. So.
Nice.
Oops. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
throw it over to you.
Yeah, I will continue. We made these lists unbeknownst to one another. Well, no. We knew we were making the list, but we didn't know what was going on each list. So I might as well start with my my Firefly choice because I also had a couple from Firefly.
Wait a second.
Mine was Ellie, get it ready. I think you know what it's gonna be. The only other couple on Firefly. Okay. It's Doc and Katie.
Not the only other couple, but yes.
Well,
Mal and Inara.
Inara, they don't get together though until the movie, I guess.
Well, they don't get together.
It's just because he calls her a whore all the time.
You know, it's fine. They don't get together till the movie either, do they? Oh, just kidding.
So, I have to rewatch them all. The reason I chose this was because of how Katie is introduced in the series.
How Kaylee?
Kaylee. I said Katie.
Yes,
I apologize.
you did.
How Kaylee.
Our nerd cred is going down in flames.
Dude, I know. I haven't watched I haven't watched Firefly in a minute. So I might have to read.
So you're gonna have to go back. That's your homework.
That's gonna be my next thing.
That's your homework.
There was some lady I was watching do like reaction videos of watching Firefly while I'm playing Xbox or something. But anyway, Doc and Kaylee, I absolutely love how Kaylee is introduced in the series because she's the mechanic of the ship. If you don't know, but when they like do a flashback to like while Malcolm Reynolds is like gathering up the crew. Yeah, he's hallucinating because he's bleeding out. Spoilers.
Exactly.
Oh,
sorry.
Spoilers for a show that was canceled in 2003.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so they have a flashback where Malcolm goes into the engine room and he's like, "Hey, so why isn't our engine working?" And it's just this random guy that we've never met before, and he's like, "Well, you know, I don't really know what's going on. I think this part's broken. I can't really fix it though." And it just like you see Kaylee in the background, like putting her clothes on because they just finished fucking. And then she goes, "Oh yeah, it's just this." He's like, "Yeah, it's easy to fix."
Yeah, this was her line.
What'd you say? It's easy.
I saw it while I was on my back.
Yeah, I saw it while I was on my back. I saw
the part that needs to get fixed. I was like, that's hilarious.
I was on my back. I saw the part that needed to get fixed. I'm like, yeah.
And she's like the sweetest character of the entire show.
Most innocent, sweet character.
Yeah, she's like the heart of the show. So it just makes it even better.
I absolutely love her. So she fancies Doc and
Simon Tam.
Simon.
Yeah. It is. I do kind of always like when it's, you know, we're from two different worlds. We must.
That is true, right?
It's that whole he's all fancy.
The well-to-do doctor man who has to.
Who now is. I was gonna say he's a life of crime that he never expected. Yeah. So that's always fun. All these romantic tropes.
Turns out Firefly had some pretty good romantic partners.
And also, like, everything was really believable. Those characters were so good. I cannot speak
It's a good show. Firefly. If you haven't watched it, it's a fun show. You should do it.
Recently bought the graphic novel for one of the series.
Allison, are you wearing a brown coat?
Oh my God, stop it. I didn't even put that together. It's not very long, though. It's not like a full duster.
It's not like a duster, but
it's also a space western.
It's space western.
Anyway.
Very good.
Okay, so those were our first two. So
I think Firefly is done. I don't think we're coming back
I think
to
we have established. I think we're good now. We could say Jane and his guns.
Jane and his favorite.
Jane and Vera. Jane and Vera.
What's the one where Malcolm gets
This
married?
Is my favorite gun. I will trade you.
Yeah. I will trade you your wife for this gun.
Yes. He was like, no. Her name is Vera. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Turns out to be an assassin.
I highly encourage you to rewatch it because the dialogue is so good.
Yeah. It was always fun. It's always punchy. I love it.
For sure.
All right,
Okay,
what do you got?
my
What's your
next
number
person
two?
on my list is I have this to show you. It's my mug. Again,
Ooh.
John knows his wife very well and buys me presents accordingly.
Is that
It's from
the
Agents of
Marvel
Shield,
series that's not on
not on Disney Plus.
What?
Yes.
What?
So
Are you crazy?
my favorite couple on that Agents of Shield show is Fitzsimmons. I love that they were friends who, you know, then were into each other. They liked each other. They're every season, like the reason why I watched, I was like, what are the Fitzsimmons moments for this season?
There was an entire season arc dedicated to their moments.
Yeah.
Was that 4?
I remember in season 3, Gemma was like taken by the monolith, the rock thing.
Oh,
and,
that was season 3. Okay. Well, is that the end of season 3, or was that? Because I thought they started season 4, or not started season 4, but I thought like because there's the one episode where it's just her on the planet.
Yeah.
Which that's the best episode in the series.
So I will say this: I usually don't like it when series do that because I'm always like, ugh, like this is just like a random episode to just tell the plot, and I don't get any good character moments like from all the other characters. But I loved that episode so much.
That I think was when I saw that show and I went, oh, they're trying to do something here. Oh,
yes.
They're trying and they're succeeding.
I thought when they were in the first season, they were trapped underwater and they were both like, they knew they were going to die. It was like that whole moment too, where it was like, they were talking about matter. They were just always so consistently good. Like they were good characters to like, you know, kind of tweak and mess around with. And like every time they would push one to the extreme, it'd be like, okay, how's the other going to react? We're going to push this one this way.
And that's exactly what I think that the writers were trying to do with that, where they would say,
they hooked me.
We're just going to affect, and the first big thing that they did was the underwater thing, where it's like, oh no, we're both going to die. And then Simmons is all,
she like left because she's like, I can't handle.
Leaves because she's like, I can't handle you doing this.
I'm making you worse. And it's like, oh my God. I know.
That's another show I need to rewatch. Gosh darn it, Allie.
I know. So anyway, so Fitzsimmons, and then, you know, it's just once they hooked you, I like kept coming back even when like, you know, further storylines were going, and I was like, okay, like, you know, the rest of it kind of got, and I won't say that it ever got, it got a little convoluted, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. A running thing that we always say, because we've watched the show with like our parents, it came out like a long time ago. We were still living in the house and whatever.
2013, I want to say.
I don't know when, but yeah, something that we would always talk about is like so much happens in one episode of Marvel's Agents of Shield in comparison to every other TV show. It would be like, what? There were like 5 reveals in one episode, and it was like, oh my God, what?
It's just,
yeah,
especially that first season, because everything's tying into not Civil War, the other Captain America movie, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. Okay,
so everything's tying into that because everything takes place after the Avengers. That's like the whole gist of the show.
You're saying there's a lot of Hydra stuff. There's a lot of Hydra stuff,
and that's why I think the first 2 seasons are just event after event after event. It's not like, let's talk about how we feel about this. No, it's we got to come up with a plan to deal with some of this stuff because it's all just happening at once. Yeah, exactly. I don't know about you, but I like that kind of stuff. Hey, and let's problem solve as characters, and let's come up with things that, I am the, you know, Fitz and Simmons are the 2, you know, science, not consultants, but like
the agents that are
agents who are in the lab on the show. So their solutions are always more tech-based or something.
For sure.
I always like that kind of stuff.
Yep. And I also just think, their journey, I love a good journey from friends to lovers. It's just, good. And then like, you know, getting married and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then okay, well then I'm not going to say anything because there's some drama around that.
Was it life model decoy or something?
Oh, that was different. They did have a whole life model decoys. They had a whole life model decoy. They had a whole Matrix. They had they had some good stuff that it was just like, oh, that's where we're going. All right, I'm on board.
What was the book? The book that had the death hold or something?
That was with Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah, they had that whole arc.
Ghost Rider on that show.
That whole arc.
Dude, that's a good show.
Also, one of the most underrated characters. I guess Fitzsimmons is like for the main love interest is fantastic, but Yo-Yo and Mac were also just
Yo-Yo and
amazing.
Mac were very
Because
good.
they like were friends, they fell in love, then they were out of love for a little bit, and I was like, ooh, this is all so like up and down. And there were so many good reasons as to why both of them were in love and out of love. I was like, okay, all right, I see you.
Yeah, they had
So
some
anyway,
good writers on that show.
they did, and I deeply appreciated the love story. Fitz and Simmons all the way.
All right. I think
All right,
I have,
who do you got next?
My next one, I am going to a one of my personal favorite science fiction films of all time.
Okay.
Is Live, Die, Repeat, or The Edge of Tomorrow.
Good one.
Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise. I forget their names. I know she's the Iron Bitch or whatever the fuck. Rita, and she's.
And he was.
I don't remember their names. Either way,
research.
I'm so bad with names.
But I remember Tom Cruise.
I remember Tom Cruise. I remember Emily Blunt.
Oh no, my phone's on airplane mode. I can't look it up. Sorry.
No, I just love that. I'm a sucker for a good time travel story. I'm a sucker for the time loop.
The Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. They do it
so good.
Like that is the template for Groundhog Day type movies from now on. I think, in my opinion. I'm just a sound guy who doesn't work in the film industry.
We don't have many opinions that have weights behind them, but we have a lot of opinions.
You know,
that's why we do this show.
Ideas are the greatest.
Yeah, we entertain each other with our ideas.
I love that it's a circumstantial circumstances force you to be in this relationship with this person.
Yeah,
that you're forced to trust, and then you sort of learn more about the circumstances of the time travel anomaly thing that they're stuck in, and then it takes this weird like melancholy turn where you're just watching people die. You're just like there's a point where it goes they're at a trailer park and they go, okay, there's 2 cars we haven't tried left. And then you go, what? What does that mean? And you go, oh, that single line tells me that you've spent a month just trying to figure out what car works. And I go, whoa.
Because the whole time, right? The whole time we are following from his kind of point of view. Right. So our understanding is that they are all meeting him for the first time. Like that's the whole thing. But then for that one...
Well, no, not necessarily, because the whole thing is, from his perspective, everyone else is doing this for the first time, but he's done it a million times.
Agreed. But what I'm saying is when we see that scene for the first time, we weren't in the understanding that he had already lived it over and over again, because all the other times we had seen him fail over and over.
Right.
So we didn't get to see him fail every time at this.
There's a montage of him dying constantly, and it's sort of comedic. Which, you know,
for all the other parts.
Yes, that was fine. I loved all that. And then all of a sudden
he was like,
it goes,
no, please don't, please don't.
Here's where it becomes. There's the light. There's some levity to the situation that he's in.
Right.
But all of a sudden it takes this like super dark turn, and you go, oh.
Yeah, where he's like, we've tried it. You've never made it past.
We've tried it, and you never make it past this point. So I'm not going to do this anymore. And I go,
yeah. He's like, how about we just stay here? And it's like,
so I love their dynamic, and I love that at the end when everything's reset and they meet for the first time, and she says the exact same thing that she said to him every time they meet for the first time, and his response is like he just giggles. He's like, oh my god, this is it. This is the last one. You're not gonna fucking believe what happened. And I love that it becomes like they are the only 2 people that have similar experience because they've both been stuck in these time loops sort of thing. And of course, they get the other people. So, no, it's implied that they do because the ending is literally just Tom Cruise giggling as Emily Blunt does this. Oh, Emily Blunt is that stretch, baby. Woo.
She's
Emily
so
Blunt
good in that movie, mind blowing.
That was the
blowing
movie.
Me good in like every movie, though. I will say she's like a perfect.
That was the movie that made me point to it and go, yeah, Invisible Woman. Yeah, she could be in the Fantastic Four. She would do great.
Yeah, is she gonna be?
So there have been a bunch of rumors. Like the first fan casting for the Fantastic Four was
because let's try that movie again.
John Krasinski.
Nice.
He was supposed to be Mr. Fantastic, and then everybody's like, "Well, who's gonna be Sue Storm?" And
they're like, "Clearly."
Wow, didn't he? Because that was right when he had just finished directing Quiet Place.
Quiet Place was,
and so they were all like, oh my gosh, look at this acting couple. Let's get
Mhm.
them. They're going to be married on screen and they're married in real life.
Crazy.
Absurd.
I know.
So yeah, I cannot say enough good things about Live Die Repeat, and I cannot say enough good things about Emily Blunt. So
and their relationship
just get a divorce
as two leads, they're fantastic in it, and they make you believe the whole thing. Yeah,
that was right. I think that was when Tom Cruise was doing all of his fun, like personal science fiction projects. Kind of. I don't know if they were his personal projects, but
he had a series of them. Maybe
Oblivion came out. I remember Live Die Repeat came out, and then Oblivion came out. And I think that was I think that was also like 2013, 2014. Don't quote me on that.
Your guess is as good as
mine. But yeah, I love those two science fiction movies are both Tom Cruise movies, and they both came out really relatively close, and they're both and worth the watch.
Well, I'll talk to you about this later, but I don't know if this was at the same time, and this isn't on my list. This is a total tangent, and we were trying to not go on total tangents. Was Looper at the same time as that? I know that's not Tom Cruise, but that's Bruce Willis, and that movie was amazing too. I would link that movie up with those two also, and be like, these are all great. But anyway,
I would not.
No.
I hate
okay.
Looper.
Anyway. Oh, well, that's unfortunate for you. Okay.
I don't hate it. I dislike it intensely because I know that the next movie that he directed was, I don't know if it's the next one, but the next movie on his IMDb, not on IMDb either. Gosh darn it.
The next movie that you in your brain have made up is the next one.
Rian Johnson was the director of Looper.
Oh.
And his next big credit was Star Wars.
The
worst Jedi. I mean,
anyway.
So yeah, that's why I'm not.
I got you.
But
no worries. But that's a total tangent. Okay.
Hindsight has not been kind to that movie. It does not hold
really
as much as I would.
I haven't rewatched it. Haven't rewatched it in a while. So
there's a scene in it that I think is emblematic of why I don't like it, and there's a scene where Bruce Willis is sitting down with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they're like, okay, so how did this happen? How are you here?
Yeah.
Like how does this time travel thing work? And then Bruce Willis goes to him and says, why the fuck are you asking that stupid question? Who gives a shit how it works? It's here. And I go, okay, great. So we just don't care about time. We just don't care about it at all.
Wait. But this is a perfect segue into the next one on my list.
Go ahead. That's what do you think I said? No.
Oh my goodness. I know. Go ahead. The tangent. The tangent just happened to work in my favor. So we clearly planned it the whole time.
I think that means it wasn't a tangent.
The movie that, quarantine, whatever, you can't really get new movies. I was so happy with The Old Guard on Netflix. It just felt so good to me to watch like a superhero thing that was like actiony. I love Charlize. She's amazing. I love that she was like really passionate about the project, because I always kind of like follow what she's doing because she makes some incredible decisions, and also is like a badass action lady.
I don't want to step on you, like. Yeah. She started taking a lot more creative control over the roles that she does.
For sure. I know she chose this project. Better decision. She chose this project. She chose like Atomic Blonde, like all those kind of ones where she was like, this is something that I'm really into. So I did for Christmas get myself the comics as well, because they were just so good. But the couple, Joe and Nikki in The Old Guard, their whole thing, right? And this was why it kind of ties into our Looper discussion. Yeah. The whole thing is that there are these immortals, and you haven't seen this, so I won't spoil it too much. I have not. They are these immortals. They've been living for like some of them thousands of years, and they don't really know why. The whole quest, or not the whole quest, but like the personal kind of journey that some of these characters go on is like, I have this gift and I can't die. Is it a gift or is it a curse? And like the whole time, like, what happens when you lose the people that you love? What happens when, the world goes to shit? When do you abandon it and you say it's not worth saving people because everyone sucks? And when is the moment when you step back in and say, well, maybe like people are worth saving? And, just all these ins and outs and historical stuff that they go through. It's amazing and crazy and fantastic. And there's a couple called Joe and Nikki. They are a gay couple, and they have been together for 1,000 years.
Whoa.
And
they're not sick of one another yet?
It's just such a beautiful, like, I don't know how to describe it except for there's like a whole scene where Joe is giving like a speech because they're like handcuffed and he's like trying to make sure he's okay. And at the end he goes like he's all and he's more because they were like, what is he, your boyfriend? And then he like gave a whole big long speech about like you can't even fathom like his whole
Yeah,
thing
dude.
was essentially
Like
we've been together for
that's
like
a joke.
1,000
What do you
years.
mean? He's my
Like,
boyfriend.
he's my boyfriend. Like we've been
What do you
together
mean?
literally 1,000 years.
Yeah, how many
Like,
people
not
do you know from the
figuratively.
how many
Yeah.
people do you know from the Revolutionary
Yeah.
War? Yeah, I fucking hang
And
around that guy.
dude, and the fact so they met during the Crusades and they were like arch enemies
Yeah.
because they were on either side of the Crusades.
Oh boy.
And then it's again an enemies to friends to lovers, which is always good. And they had 1,000 years to do it. And so it's just so pure and so fantastic. And I love them. And they're always like, they have each other's back and they like are so in sync because it's been literally 1,000 years of practice. So it's just like really sweet and endearing. And the fact
I want them
yeah.
to break up over like
No.
the most petty thing.
Of course, that would never happen.
You chew with your mouth open? Why haven't I noticed this for 1,000 years?
All right, devil's advocate, get out of here. Do not break my heart.
Okay? Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Oh my God.
You've been together 1,000 years and it's your
That
chewing.
would not be. I think that the fandom would come and like murder you if that ever happened.
That's how I do it.
But so anyway, it ties back to
absurd.
kind of that Looper thing where you were saying it upset you that they were like, oh, we don't need to know this. Like, why are you asking that question?
Who
For
cares
this
about how
entire
time travel works?
Well, for this entire
You're a time
series,
travel movie.
a lot of their personal struggle and like the personal revelations that they have to make and reconcile in their own life is the fact that no one knows what the heck is happening, but they just have to keep living it. So like they look at each other and they're like, you know, so there's a whole thing where you can die, but you never know when. So one of the times you won't wake back up. One of the times you just won't wake back up, but you don't know when that is. So does that mean that you still do reckless things or you still put yourself in harm's way, like to help other people? Or does it mean that you don't and you don't risk that? So it's like a whole, the fact that they don't understand it and that they don't know, that drives so much of the story. So that's kind of when I started realizing like, okay, you can do you don't have to figure out all of the details. Right. You can, as long as that's part of the story and part of how they are reconciling things in their brain and what brings them together, that works. As long as you use it, it works.
I bet you that somewhere near the end of that show, they're going to figure out how it works.
Well, it's a comic book and a movie.
Or they both die.
Well, I'm sure, but I think their whole thing is like, you know, this is a mystical, magical thing. We're never going to know. It's kind of like, man, what was it called? The Leftovers? What's the guy from Lost that then went on right after that? Like he was a writer and then he did The Leftovers. I think it was called The Leftovers, but do not quote me on that. But the whole thing is like, you know, they're all like, some of these people are gone and the rest are like left. They're like the leftover people. Yeah. And you never figure out like where they went, like the people who left. There's no rhyme or reason. That's never answered, and it's literally because they don't know. Like you're following these people that don't know, so you can't secretly know.
The whole gist of it is this life-changing event happened. Nobody really knows why.
So you know that series, this comic book series and movie that's on Netflix just kind of really solidified that for me, especially through the love story of Joe and Nikki. Remembering that
love story.
It's just so satisfying. They are just like the cutest together and I love it. Anyway, that's my third person on the list.
My third is sort of cheating, I guess. It's not the cheating one that I had mentioned at the top of the show, but
you cheated twice?
I may have cheated twice, but I think this one makes up for the other one that I cheated on. So my next one is Star Trek.
Yes. Okay.
I am looking at the series of Deep Space Nine. One of the, arguably one of the best Star Treks ever. There is a character named Jadzia Dax.
I love Jadzia.
Holy Toledo. She is the best character, I think, on the entire show.
She has a lot of really good storylines that you could.
All of the best storylines go to her.
Yeah.
So I will just quickly summarize what Jadzia Dax is. She is an alien known as Trill. So the whole gist of the Trills is that there are two like species on their planet. One is the Trill, and then the other is the symbiote, which I don't know if they have an actual name. I'm sure they do, but everybody just calls them the symbiotes. So essentially how it works is the Trills live and work like humans. It's Star Trek. It's a person with blue dots on their face. So that's whoa, an alien. I've never seen it before. Right. So essentially they are pretty much like humans in Star Trek. They are, it's supposed to be like a mirror to us. Mm-hmm. So how would we treat these people who have a whole nother species on their planet that is, the sole purpose of that other species is to retain memories and mm-hmm. consciousness sort of previous hosts that were also Trill. So right. The Trill, so they cut open your belly and they shove this worm thing in, and then that's the symbiote. That's the symbiote, and then they, I guess it somehow connects to your brain, and then all of a sudden you are a conscious person with like 6 other consciousnesses in you. So what I love is I thought it was an allegory for like transgender people, sort of. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which was, freaking, this thing came out in the 90s. How many other TV shows had any kind of transgender
sort of reference? Because in the previous life, so Jadzia Dax is female, but in her previous hosts of Dax, who is the symbiote.
Right. So Jadzia is the Trill and Dax is the symbiote. So
yes, and Dax has been male and female
symbiote. Over and over again. I think she was the 7th or 8th host, I want to say. But
Nerd card revoked because I don't know either.
I know. I'm a huge DS9 fan too. Oh my God.
And you should know.
I should know.
I don't. Here's the thing. I love the stories so much that I forget a lot of the details.
I know. I get bogged down on so much other detail.
Though there was, Anyway, go ahead. You said Jadzia.
Yes, Jadzia eventually hooks up with a Klingon with a bad attitude named Worf, who was spun off from the end of Next Generation. So this Klingon with a bad attitude walks in, and that's how she's like, I forget what scene it is, but that's how she describes him. It's like, oh yeah, why did you fall in love? Wow, this big tall guy walks in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Well, I think one of the first times they met, she was like, they were coming out of the holodeck maybe, and she was in like a medieval costumes.
Yes. That was
like the first time they met, I think.
She wasn't embarrassed by it because she was with Kira. She was with Kira, whatever. And Kira was embarrassed by it because she's like this religious freak.
Well, she also was like, the holodeck is just silly. Like that makes why are we pretending?
Yeah,
she was like, this is all
sort
weird.
of it. That was sort of I suppose so.
Yeah. That was her, I think, angle for that one.
Yeah.
But yes, they are really cute together because also
adorable.
Dax
kicks the bucket.
Previous Dax had a whole thing. Well, okay, don't spoiler for the 90s show, but yeah.
Spoiler for a show that ended in 95.
I know, goodness. But the previous iteration of Dax, Curzon Dax, who's the guy,
yes.
he was really close with Klingons. He was
very close with Klingons, and he had a mentor relationship with Captain, or I guess Commander Sisko at the time, but he later becomes Captain. So I love that there's an extended relation. There's the new relationship of Jadzia and Worf. That's beautiful. Like Worf doesn't know all of these past things where Curzon Dax was like this ambassador to the planet of Klingon, or the Kronos, the planet of Klingon. Jesus. It's the Klingon Empire. God, oh my goodness.
Okay, we have not had our caffeine today, is what I'm
I had a drink before this, actually.
Well, no. I'll speak for myself then. Too much herbal tea, not enough caffeinated tea.
No, so I love that there's 2 sort of phases to her relationships. There's the extended relationship from her past host that then creeps into her current host, which is Curzon to Jadzia, which is her relationship with Sisko. And then there's this new relationship that blossoms from that, which is, hey, I know I have all these past experiences, but I'm this new person now. Yeah. So Worf likes me for being this new person. I'm Jadzia. I'm this new individual. Mm-hmm. So Worf enjoys that, but then there's it gets more complicated. As she was asked to leave the show, and then
There's all sorts of stuff, but I
She
will
wasn't
say
asked to leave the show. She did not. She chose not to. She was not renewed. Let's say.
right. But besides the behind the scenes stuff, I know that there was one episode where they're both like they're like trapped in like a jungle at one point,
That is
and like she gets injured.
She
That's
gets
the
injured.
whole. That's a really good episode
So
for them. And
the
then
gist of that episode is there is a Cardassian spy that they need to like get out because he's been found out. And so they're both on a mission to rescue this defector, essentially, who has all this super top secret information that's going to turn the tide of the Dominion War. And so what happens is Jadzia gets shot and she's bleeding out. So Worf is like, fuck, man, I don't know what to do. I'm going to stay here. And Jadzia is like, no, you have to go complete this mission. Otherwise, the war is going to keep going.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, let me die and save all these other people. And Worf says, no.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I love you.
Because love exists.
I will let this other person die.
Yes. Oh, in Star Trek, you think we're all about the greater good?
No,
nope, not today. I just want you to survive.
That's why DS9 is the best.
They went real dark.
When Star Trek is getting its morals questioned.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So I love Jadzia and Worf. That's the real answer. And then my cheating.
Is this answer, on your list?
This is also on my
too?
list. This is I have my numbered bullet points with the show, and then my lettered bullet points with the character from each one. So my B point to this is we love Jadzia and Worf, but my next couple in Star Trek, and they really explored this more in DS9 than Next Gen, but Miles O'Brien and Keiko O'Brien.
Ooh, I do like Keiko.
I love Keiko. Keiko is maybe one of the most underrated characters in that show.
Yeah, I love her.
Miles O'Brien is the best character in Star Wars or Star Trek.
Is this even usable with how many times you've messed stuff up?
Yeah, it's usable. Screw it. Yeah, it's usable.
Yeah, we're just gonna own it. That's okay. Star Trek.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna flog myself later. No. Anywho, the most important character in the series of Star Trek, got it right, is Miles Edward O'Brien. Everybody knows that.
He's the best.
But the show does a lot to test them. I'll say. So the first big hurdle was they're having another baby. So there's like all of a sudden there's a shuttle accident or whatever. Oh, yeah. And Bashir, Keiko, and Kira are on this shuttlecraft during this accident. And all of a sudden she's like, oh fuck, the baby's gonna die. We need to find a new uterus.
Yep.
And Kira was the only one there. So
and she's like, let's do it. Because she was
Miles
actually pregnant in real life.
Yeah, because the actress was pregnant in real life. But Miles technically has two baby mamas.
Which was just hilarious to me, like all the shenanigans that happened as a result.
Love it. I loved it.
And it was over the top ridiculous, and I was like, I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Who even cares though? Like
it's Star Trek, man.
It's Star Trek. Yeah, we're just gonna take this baby, put it in somebody else. Who cares?
Duh.
So that was the first big hurdle. Then there's, if you go online and search O'Brien episodes of DS9, almost all of them are good. Yeah. There are very few bad O'Brien episodes.
I will also say that I really liked the discussion between like his career and her career. I love that kind of juxtaposition because that's a real deal.
Because they sort of did that with Jake Sisko and Ben Sisko.
Yeah.
Where it's like, fuck, man, I don't want to be in this backwoods town.
Yeah.
Nothing ever goes on. Oh, and I'm bringing my kid who's a teenager. Yeah. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that going to be like for him?
Yeah.
And I love that, she has to put her career on hold because
and then that causes
causes
friction because it will. And then how did they solve it? Maybe I go live somewhere else.
She lives somewhere else, and then she comes back and they say, I guess you're in charge of botany now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, because I was like, why don't you just put her in charge of botany the whole time? But like, clearly, if it's a new station that they just are turned over from the Kardashian, like whatever, it makes sense plot wise that they do it later, and it also makes sense for character. Like I just really like that whole storyline.
They really weren't exploring the Delta Quadrant or the Delta Quadrant, right? Or Delta was Voyager?
They're in the
It might have been because Beta
Delta's
and
Voyager.
Alpha are
the Alpha Quadrant to the Gamma Quadrant. No, the Gamma Quadrant is Voyager. Noah, we are horrible today. We are horrible today.
We're going to the Google.
Horrible today.
Delta Quadrant.
None of this is usable.
It's usable.
Let's give up on our hopes and dreams right now.
We're not. Speak for yourself, Allie. I'm not gonna do it because I mixed up Gamma and Delta.
You could be a nerd of all level. Nerd of all level.
Anywho, the point is, Jadzia Dax and Worf, son of Mogh, and Miles O'Brien and Keiko O'Brien. Those are the two bombs.
Okay. Gotcha. So wait, does that bring you to the end of your list, or are you?
No, I have two more.
Because so that was part B of the thing. Okay, I got you. So you're getting extra people on the list.
One of them's a
That's
joke.
cheating.
I'll end on my joke answer.
Okay. Okay. So then the next one on my list, I'm looking for the prop that I brought. Is so we've been talking. It's almost like I planned this. We've been talking a lot about like hard sci-fi. So I went with my next one a little bit more like soft sci-fi, and I chose Tim and Mary from About Time because I love this movie.
I have not seen About Time, but anything with Rachel McAdams in it, I'm a fan.
It's just really sweet the whole time, and
right.
I mean,
Rachel
you had
McAdams
mentioned
is very sweet.
Yes. But you had mentioned before about like, because like the whole movie centers around Tim, and it's just like his relationships, like with his dad, with his sister, with his mom, with Mary,
with
his
McAdams?
eventual wife, with Rachel McAdams, with his kids, like stuff like that. And the whole premise is like when he like came of age, his dad sat him down and was like, "Listen, the men in our family can travel in time." And he's like, "No," and then he's like, "All right, you don't believe me? Go try it." So then he relives the thing. He comes back and he's like, what? Like, okay, does mom know? Okay. But the girls can't. Okay. So what should I do with it? And then they're like, well, you could go for like wealth. And he's like, but like that makes everybody unhappy. Yeah. Your grandpa tried that. It didn't work. like, so they like kind of talk about it or whatever. And then he goes, and so then Tim sits there. He's like, well, I guess I'd really just like to fall in love. And then it's like, oh, the mothership, like that's a big one, So then it's this whole thing about like, it's a whole story about like you can't make someone fall in love with you just by like reliving days, trying to make things perfect. You have to appreciate every day for what it is. All of those types of moments,
That's nice.
that are just really sweet and heartwarming. There's some stuff about birth, about death. It's like a whole like life cycle. And then like, it just their love story, the way that he like, at one point, I won't spoil too much, but at one point he like met her, but then went back in time to change something else and then didn't meet her. So then it's like a whole thing of, what do you choose? Like you have to pick and choose certain things in your life to stay the same. It's just a really sweet movie overall. It's shot beautifully.
I like that.
It's the characters are really endearing. There's some, every scene is treated with respect. Some of them are played for comedy. Some of them are played really serious, and it all just works so well. This movie is one that's like happy and sad, and I watch it whenever I'm like feeling. I just need to like. Just feel happy in the end. You're just like, oh, I went on a journey, and that was so fulfilling.
Yeah,
it was so fulfilling in the end. So I highly recommend it. Honestly, really great movie for Valentine's Day.
No,
I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh, is this a Valentine's Day episode?
I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Do you mean a short bit that is turning out not to be short at all?
A relatively short bit.
A relatively short bit that's turning out not to be short at all.
Well, whatever. Well, all right. Let's get faster then. Oh my gosh, my next one. I'm gonna say The Boys.
Oh, The Boys.
The Boys. So I'm going to choose the obvious couple, which is Homelander and Stormfront.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the montage of them having super sex is the best.
I will say I love to hate them.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
They're horrible.
They're horrible.
They're horrible
but I love it. I don't know. For some reason,
they're horrible. She's a Nazi.
She's a Nazi. I know. But I anytime a TV show can incorporate like some people making out while crushing someone's face with their hand, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh my God.
I respect your effort there.
You know what?
Nice hustle.
I will say this too. That was the second season that they just came out. So I didn't know how, because like the first season was so good. I was like, I'm hooked. This show is amazing. And I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do next. Like they had the whole thing with they had the whole thing with Butcher and like his wife. That was like a whole different storyline. But I was like, I don't know what else are they gonna do with Homelander and his story with the Nazi chick. I was like, okay, I see what you did there. That was very entertaining. Entertaining and a good choice, I think.
Yeah, I
do love
if you haven't watched it, I would say go. Love to hate them. They're great. I would love. You should all watch the montage of them having super sex, because it's them boning each other through walls. it's like, come on, how if you were Superman?
True love, right there.
How would you bone? I'm just saying.
We just went from my melancholy happy movie to
that's how relatively short bits go, Allison.
All right, perfect.
What do you got? What's your last one?
You didn't hear? You didn't hear? Okay, so the last one is mine that I not semi-cheated on. I just haven't finished the series.
Oh gosh.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have not finished watching them all, but I'm on like season 3, I think. There are just so many couples on that show. I am not really a fan of Buffy and Angel. Like that's the first couple that's really good. Then they do a whole thing with I know Willow currently is with Seth Green's character Oz, so I really like them together. But I do know that she's going to be with Tara soon, and in a couple seasons or whatever. And I really like that. I know that Buffy's going to be with Spike at some point. I cannot wait for that to happen. So I just think that there are some really good relationships that I have yet to discover. So I think that is why I just kind of, how you said you picked your TV show and then had A, B, and C and whatever. I'll just say like Buffy the Vampire Slayer because of all the reasons, because of all the couples. Also, I mean, if we're sticking with Whedon stuff,
I was about to say,
the dialogue,
two Whedon
so
shows?
good.
Holy
the
cow.
Dialogue is just so good. And like, I think watching it now that I'm like older, like I'm not a high school person, like it takes place mostly in high school for a part of the show. But like with just like sassy characters, and I'm like, I'm here for everybody that has like, that's like just done. They're just like, oh, I give up. There's gonna be a demon that comes out of the Hellmouth. It's like, all right, great, let's go fight. Oh, I just hit it. Let's go fight this guy again. I guess we have to fight. So anyway, I don't know. I'm really pumped to see all the upcoming couples.
It'll be good. All right,
especially Spike and especially Tara.
Very good. All right, last one is my joke answer, which I think this is the greatest science fiction couple of all time. It is a Star Wars related answer.
Okay.
The greatest couple in all of science fiction history is Emperor Palpatine and the nameless wench that was Rey's either mom or grandma. I don't quite remember.
Grandma, I think.
Grandma.
Because the mom and dad hid her. The mom and dad hid her.
Right. Well, we don't know. We don't even know because.
No, there was a whole flashback, wasn't there?
There was a flashback of them getting in a spaceship. That was it. And her going, it was like, don't leave! And then they go, your parents were nobody important, except they were somebody important, except they weren't.
Because they were trying to hide it. Duh.
Yeah. Another Ryan Johnson mention on this podcast.
Okay, but did you see like Knives Out? That one was really good.
No.
I know you don't like it.
If you have one good project, that doesn't mean you're a good filmmaker.
That's fine. I liked it a lot. I liked Looper.
That's fine.
But that's a whole different thing.
Devalued the Star Wars brand by like $1 billion. That's fine.
But he kept it going, I guess. There's like,
no,
Palpatine and the next but no, I'm saying for your no, I'm not saying him. I'm saying that couple.
Rowan Johnson.
That couple.
The nameless wench.
I hate it. I don't really even want to say it.
Nameless wench?
Palpatine.
Well,
and question mark.
Because I'll tell you why it's so uncomfortable is because it was completely shoehorned in out of nowhere. That's why everybody. Well, I just don't want to talk.
It's all real weird. It's all a little weird.
If you watch any interview with Daisy Ridley, and she'll be like, yeah, there wasn't any the plan changed from day to day on Star Wars. And you go, I'm sorry, how much did this movie cost? And you don't have a plan?
That's valid.
Thanks, Ryan.
And happy Valentine's Day for that couple.
Happy Valentine's Day for
that couple.
Wow. Yeah, so those are the greatest science fiction couples according to our brains.
And the movies and TV shows and comic books and things that we like.
Sweet. Short, relatively short.
A relatively short bit for the relatively young productions, etc. projects. But if you like stuff like this, we're going to be trying to do more of these smaller bite-sized things. Well, I guess nerdy stuff, random stuff that we're interested in addition to the longer format podcast stuff specifically with our family. So
stay tuned, subscribe, all the buttons to press,
and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy freaking Valentine's Day, everybody. Anything's better than 2020. So
yep.
Enjoy it.
Ooh.